night and day difference just from a number standpoint, organizational. I was saying earlier that I think you kind of already know this as a coach, but it's kind of hard. So everybody has their program and the way they do things, but I think you also have to understand there's really not a one-size-fits-all approach, and you got to really adjust to the layout, the landscape of where you are. With us, it was really young players who hadn't played a lot of football, who were trying to organize really quickly. So we kind of realized that maybe the way we practice at Mandarin and some of the things, the way we did them, that wasn't going to work for us. We needed to slow down and teach the game a little bit differently. And, we saw a lot of intangible growth, and that's really what we were measuring. Realized early on that, we're not probably going to be able to use the scoreboard as the ultimate indicator of the progress we're making. So, a lot of subjective, measurements, but we saw a lot of improvement in the spring. We saw it on the field, which was good, and just kind of a different general understanding of the focus that you need on a day-to-day basis, and what's expected of you if you want to be a good football player. And the kids have spent time together, and I think that's the biggest thing is just we've had time, so that's been huge. I think there's a number of factors. I do think guys, eventually, do seek out some situations that financially are better for them, whether or not that's in a different state or in a different area. I think everybody has their own reasons why. I think the weight of the job compared to how much support you have in terms of the number of assistants that you have on a day-to-day basis that you're around, it can wear you down. And I think the new stressors that have entered with social media and I think too expectation level of sometimes parents and players as far as how they think it's supposed to be, whether it's regards to playing time or recruitment. I think one major concern that I have is that line between parents and coaches is getting more skewed, and some of the things that you see happening with parents and interactions they have with coaches, getting to the point where they feel like they can challenge them and confront them, I think there's some concerning trends that are starting there, and I think a lot of that when a guy looks at his situation is like, I've got. I'm a smart guy. I'm a good guy. I know I can go out there and do other things that, where I maybe don't have some of these headaches and, and still find something that I find fulfilling. So, I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, this is my 16th year as head coach. But if you go back like 10, 11 years, I mean, there's been a lot of really good coaches that have gotten out of it, for one reason or another. It's kind of staggering when you think about it, because I go back to like 2012, 2013, and look around at a lot of the, not just the coaches but the staffs that they had. Not many left, and I don't know that the qualifications necessarily matter as much. A lot of times they just want to, a school may just say, we're just going to put somebody into this position because they're on campus, and it's just the easiest thing to do. But they may not have the background or the qualifications to do it, and if they're not prepared for what's coming 2 or 3 years later, they're like, you know what, I don't want to do this. So I think you see that as well. I mean, I think it's a little higher maybe than it was the off season before, but I think it's. I mean, if you look at Coach Lee at First Coast and Coach Dorminey at Trinity, with Daryl Sutherland retiring, I mean, they're kind of the two guys that have been at their place the longest, and I think it's probably the new norm that guys are going to be somewhere for a finite amount of time and then for whatever reason leave, whether or not they're asked to leave or whether or not they move on to a different school or leave the area or leave coaching. And I think that's kind of where we're at until some things change.